comfortable seat. So if you want to just make your way into a seated position, and like I said in the email that I just sent you, if you have some kind of strap, this is actually the strap that I use to like carry my yoga mat. So it's not even like an official strap. It'll just be used as a leg stretch lying on the back, just using it under the foot. So if you have something like that, something, even a tie on a robe would work. If you don't have anything, I'll show you another variation. It's totally fine. Blocks, if you have books or solid boxes of some kind, or even I saw someone the other day using like mason quart jars or half-gallon jars. Those work. They're solid and kind of get that same sense of bringing the ground closer to you. So yeah, we'll just get started here, sitting upright, and just take a few moments here to make the base of your pose a little bit bigger. So maybe scoot your feet out a little bit farther away from you, maybe kind of inch your hips, your sitting bones a little bit farther apart, and just let your hands rest somewhere easy so you can just soften at your hands. And feel free to close your eyes here. Start to lift the center of your chest a little bit, broadening across the collarbones. And then sense the space between your armpits and your hip creases, and see if you can make that a little bit longer. So kind of dropping down into the hip creases, lifting up through the armpits. Slowing down your breath here, take a big breath in through your nose. Exhale slowly out the mouth. And again, big breath in. Slow exhale out the mouth. Let your lips seal and start to breathe in and out of your nose if that's possible. Just starting to connect to that Ujjayi breath. You might imagine this breath kind of like fogging up a mirror with your mouth. So if you were opening your mouth, you could actually fog up a mirror with the breath coming out, that kind of throaty exhale. But in the Ujjayi breath, we keep the mouth closed. So we're just inhaling through the nose, exhaling through the nose, with that throat breathing, just letting the breath move over the throat, that soft whisper-like sound. Just taking a couple more rounds of breath, nice and slow. You might even see if you can elongate your exhale a little bit. Just join the palms together in the front of the heart. Just kind of finding this grounding sensation by pressing the bones of your hands together, the fingertips together, lifting your chest towards your thumbs. And as you breathe slowly here, just bring this intention to mind, an intention of grounding. So when I say the word grounding, maybe thinking of balance or connection, stability, safety. Maybe coming up with your own grounding affirmation in the next few moments, just to keep close with you as we start to move the physical body in practice. Just a short phrase or even just one word to come back to when the mind starts to wander. when things start to get a little challenging even. Gently drop the chin in towards the chest. Just let your hands release down to your sides. And just rock your head side to side a couple times here. So just softening the sides of your neck. Just letting your ears drop from shoulder to shoulder. You can match the breath with this movement if you'd like. Exhaling, chin draws a line across the collarbones. And inhale to the side. Just taking one more round to each side here. Just flowing, moving with your breath. And we'll just meet back in the middle. Just opening the eyes. Your head can stay down. And then gently just lift your gaze up, just kind of letting that awareness of sight come back slowly. And we'll make our way onto our back. So just rolling on down nice and slow. Just take your time to get there. And when you do get there, I would encourage you to take your socks off if you have socks on. Just this connection of your bare feet in the ground can sometimes be a really nice grounding action. Just pressing your left foot down into the ground. We'll just drop the right leg up towards the ceiling here, and you can hold onto the back of your leg here, or you can take the prop that you're using as a strap and bring it to the bottom of your foot. So we'll just get this stretch in the back of the right leg for a couple breaths. Either using a strap or your hands. You might walk the hands high onto the prop, or even just higher on your legs sometimes can let the arms just sort of drop into their sockets and take some pressure out of the arms. See if you can drop your right thigh bone down into its socket, just making some space in the back of your right leg here. You might extend the left leg straight down towards the bottom of the mat just for a couple breaths. If you've straightened the leg, maybe check in, see how that feels in your low back, in your left hip crease. If you are using a prop here, bring both sides of the strap into your right hand. Open the left arm out to the side, and then open your right leg out to the right, any amount. So if you're holding on with your hands, you can just open your left arm out. Just hold on to your calf or the side of your foot even, and just drop the leg over. Just opening the inner energy channel of the right leg. See if you can soften the left side ribs down towards the ground here a little more. Let's take one more inhale, and then just squeeze the legs back through the center, and we'll just switch that out so you can straighten your right leg or just bring the sole of the foot onto the ground, switch out the strap if you have that. Just take a few breaths here. We're not only getting this nice stretch in the back of the leg, but you can think of this almost like an opening of energy in the back of your leg. So just kind of opening that space to receive nourishment from the ground as you stand, opening that energy line so more fluid energy can flow through your body. In the next couple of breaths, just draw the leg out to the side. Open your right arm out to the side. Take a few breaths here. See if you can reach through the top of your head, reach through your right heel, either down towards the bottom of the mat or towards the ground if your knee is bent. One more inhale. Exhale, just come back through the center. Releasing your strap off to the side. If you have a hold of it, bring both soles of the feet onto the ground, hands down to your sides, prepping for bridge pose here. Just press your feet down, press the upper arms down, feel that lift of your chest, and then lift the pelvis any amount off of the ground. Bridge pose, just lengthening your knees away from your chest. Imagining the inner thighs kind of rolling down towards the ground. And notice what muscle groups are working here. So the thighs, the glutes, the core, all of those muscle groups working together to keep you lifted. Take one more inhale. Exhale, just come down. Nice slow release onto your back here. And we'll lift one more time. Just coming up into your bridge whenever you're ready. And this time you might reach your arms up and overhead, bend your elbows, let the upper back expand a little more on the ground. Draw the knees away from you to make some more space in the front of your body. Just take one more inhale. And then exhale, lower on down. Nice slow release here. Draw the knees in towards your chest. And just start a little rock front to back. So we're just going to gain a little momentum here. And if you prefer, you can just roll onto your side, come up into a seated position. We're going to all make our way into standing. So you can start to just press your feet down into the ground, just starting to get that connection of feet connected. And you might stand up, and it might take you a little bit of time, and that's okay. You can also just use your hands. Use your hands to press you up, and we'll just all meet in a standing position. Just pressing your feet into the ground, hands down at your sides, mountain pose, toes pointing forward. And then just stretch your arms up, just reaching up towards the ceiling here. This big expansive posture, lifting the chest. Fingertips are reaching up, maybe even look up. And just take one more big breath in here. As you exhale, just fold forward, hinge at the hips. Lead with the center of your chest, drop the chin to your chest. And then lift halfway, little bend in your knees. Bring the shoulders about hip height here. And just hold here for a couple breaths. Just for the first round, we're lengthening again, armpits away from the hip creases. The feet are firmly rooted here. Take one more inhale. Exhale to just fold forward. Head is heavy, chin to chest. Inhale brings you to rise all the way up. And we'll do two more of those little half sun salutes. So diving over the legs, take a full exhale. Your inhale brings you to lift halfway. Lengthen the spine. Exhale to fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. And I'm folding really deeply here, just one more of these. If you need to just fold about halfway, that's totally fine. Bring your hands onto your thighs, just lean forward, and then just accentuate that halfway lift, reach the chest forward. And then we'll rise all the way up together, feet root down, arms stretch up, lengthen here, and just bring the hands down to your sides. Mountain pose, just two big breaths, little bend in the knees. Maybe spread your toes a little wider, lift the center of the chest, and then plant the shoulder blades down your back. On your next inhale, stretch the arms up without losing any of that connection downward. Exhale, fold forward, hinge at the hips, and then lift halfway, take a big breath in. We'll make this into a full sun salutation A here. Hands come down onto the ground, one foot steps back and then the other into your plank pose. You can stay with this knee lifted variation or drop the knees down onto the ground at any point. Take a couple breaths to ground here. Palms are rooted on the earth. Lift the space between the shoulder blades. Tone the low belly. Take one more inhale. Come down onto the belly on your exhale, just releasing slowly down onto the earth. Forehead comes down, cobra pose. Press the tops of the feet down, lift the chest, and you might choose to walk your hands out a little wider here today, kind of tensing your hands up on the ground, peeling up. Use the strength of your back to lift. Just one more inhale, squeeze the legs together. Exhale, slowly come down onto the forehead, hands under the shoulders, press through your tabletop or plank pose to child's pose or downward facing dog. So either one of those places is totally fine, child's pose or down dog. Feel free to take movements in either of those places, pedaling up the legs or just kind of shifting your hips side to side. See if you can reconnect to that Ujjayi breath, in and out of your nose. Slow inhale, slow exhale. In the next breath or two, look forward towards the top of the mat. Step forward so the feet meet the hands and just come into your standing forward fold. Head is heavy, belly is light. And then root through the feet and rise all the way up. Arms stretch up, reach up, look up and lengthen. And then dive over the legs, forward fold, hinge at the hips. Keeping a little bend in your knees here, lift halfway, lengthen the spine, and then bring your hands down onto the ground. Fingertips are fine. Bend your knees, step your left foot back, warrior one. Back heel drops, your hands can crawl onto the top of the right thigh, or you can sweep the arms up and overhead. Either way is fine, just grounding down through the legs. Lift the center of your chest and breathe. Just exhaling down into your feet. Inhale to find a little more lightness here in the upper body. And just check in with your legs here. If you're feeling a little wobbly, maybe walk your right foot out towards the right side of your mat, just kind of widening the base of your warrior one pose. Take one more big breath in here, lift the chest, look up, and exhale, bring the hands to the inside of your right foot. Plant the hands down, lift your back heel, step to your 3-point dog. So reaching the right leg all the way up and back, plug the hands down into the ground, and then see if you can turn your right toes down, maybe even look at your right toes under your body here. Just take one more inhale, and then just step the foot forward again, warrior one. So we're just building warrior one from this different angle. You can crawl your hands up or sweep the arms up. Either way is fine. Just taking a couple more breaths here in warrior one. You can stay right where you are. If you want a little extra sensation here, drop your right hand to your side, reach up through the left fingertips, press down into your left heel, and then lean over to the right. Just lengthening through the left side of the body, navel to spine here. Take one more inhale. Exhale back through the center, just reaching up, and then bring your hands down, lift your back heel, look forward, step to the top of the mat. Left foot meets the right, just hang out over the legs for a moment. Head is heavy. Lift halfway on an inhale to make some space. Hands come onto the ground. Right foot steps back, warrior one. Drop the heels, stretch the arms up, reach up, and lengthen. Just grounding down to start. Just take your time. Each time we get into a position, just kind of settle into it, into a place that feels good for you. Grounding. Just one more inhale here. Exhale, the hands come down, 3-point dog. Just planting your hands, sweep the left leg up and back. Take your time here to get even in the hips. One more inhale. Exhale, step the foot through. Right heel drops, warrior one. Arms sweep up. You can always just keep your hands on your thigh. Sometimes hands on the thigh, kind of leaning forward, feels more grounding for some. Just checking in, see if that's you. Taking an inhale here to lengthen, and then if you'd like, left hand comes down, right arm reaches up, lean up and over to the left, just lengthening here. One more big breath in. Exhale, just squeezing back through the center. Strong legs bring you back. Exhale, hands come down onto the mat out in front of you. Look forward, lift your right heel and step forward. Right foot meets the left, hang over the legs. Head is heavy. Feet are rooted. Rise all the way up. Arms stretch up, reach up, and look up. Dive forward on your exhale. Just continuing this flow, moving nice and slow. So if you're moving in a rate that is slower than me or faster than me, that's totally fine. We'll lift halfway. Step your left foot back, and we'll build warrior two from here. So you can take your time again to crawl the hands up onto the thigh. Hands can come to your hips, or outstretch the arms into a T, just gazing over the right fingertips, checking in with the legs, pressing into your front heel, broaden across your chest, and steady breath. One more inhale here. Exhale to cartwheel the hands. Step back to your 3-point dog. Right foot sweeps back. Lengthen through the right side of your body. Right toes turn down. Exhale to step the foot back through. Warrior two once again. So just taking your time here, building the pose. Again, arms out into a T. Check in with your right knee that it's kind of drawing out towards the pinky side of your right foot. And again, you can just stay right where you are or cross your right arm under your left. You can turn your gaze to the wall to your left, kind of just letting your back be straight. And then just draw the hands towards the center of your back here. You might even pull your elbows away from you, like you're giving yourself a big hug here. Just lift the chest, root down through your feet. Take one more inhale. And then exhale, just unravel the arms, stretch them out, and then cartwheel the hands down. Lift your back heel, look forward, scoop the belly to step forward. Left foot meets the right, fold over the legs. Rise all the way up, stretch the arms up and overhead. Big breath in. Exhale to fold forward. Just hinging forward. Find that length in your spine here as you lift halfway. Hands come onto the ground. Right foot steps back. Warrior two. Take your time. Crawl the hands up. Bring your hands to your hips, whatever feels stabilizing for you. If you'd like, the arms outstretch. Settle into your legs, your strong legs grounding onto the earth. Just one more big breath in here. Cartwheel the hands down. Plug your hands into the earth here, really pressing into the hands as you sweep the left leg up and back. 3-point dog, just lengthening here. And then step the foot through again, warrior two. Just different approach to the pose, building the pose. Slowly rising up, warrior two. Again, you can just stay put right here, breathing, or left arm under the right this time. Just give yourself a big hug. So the right hand's on the right shoulder, the left hand might be kind of under the shoulder on the other side. Elbows can pull away from you. Just breathing up into that space between your shoulder blades here. Recommit to the bend in your front knee. Just one more inhale. Exhale, slowly unravel, just stretching the arms out. And then slowly make your way to the top of the mat. Cartwheel the hands down, lift the back heel, step forward, hang over the legs, forward fold. Rise all the way up, a little bend in the knees here, stretch up and lengthen. And then dive forward, just exhaling over the legs. Inhale brings you to lift halfway. Make some space here. And then plant the hands down, step back to your plank pose. Just pausing for a couple breaths here. Again, knees can drop or keep them lifted. We're lifting the inner thighs. We're toning the fronts of the thighs. Press into the ground, keeping that awareness of pressing in, pressing down, lower to the belly. So as you lower, continue to press into your hand. And then cobra pose, just peeling up, lifting, lengthening here. Exhale, slowly come down, coming into your down dog or child's pose. Just take your time here to transition. Couple big breaths here. You might let a big breath out of your mouth, kind of releasing, letting go a little bit. Bring the gaze forward wherever you're coming from. Gently step forward. Forward fold at the top of the mat. Rise all the way to standing on an inhale. Just stretch the arms up. Reach up, look up, and exhale your hands down to your sides. So we'll come into warrior three pose next. So we're kind of doing this same little sequence of entering the pose from the top of the mat and then entering it from the back of the mat. So we'll do warrior three next. If you have a prop, bring your prop out in front of you. You might want that to just kind of hold on to. If you don't have any prop to bring the ground closer, I would suggest stacking both of your hands on the top of your right knee. So we'll bend both knees here just a little bit to give a little kind of balancing action in the legs. Stack the hands on the right thigh or bring your hands onto your prop in front of you. Either one is fine. Pressing into that surface with your hands, extend your left leg back behind you. warrior three. And it's okay if your toes are literally still touching the ground as they're reaching back behind you. That's totally fine. If you want that balancing point behind you with the toes on the ground, that's great. If you want to lift it up to hip height, that's great too. Just pressing into whatever surface you're touching with your hands to lift the chest, look forward, breathe deep. If you can, lengthen your armpits away from your hip creases a little bit more. And then notice your left toes back behind you, in space behind you. Follow them all the way back down onto the ground here. Bring your hands onto the ground. 3-point dog, just sweeping that right leg up and back. Lengthen through that side of the body. One big inhale, and then step the foot forward. Right away, stepping into warrior three. This time, maybe the hands come back onto your leg or your prop, or just float the hands back behind you. Get a little buoyant feeling here. Take a big breath in, and then just drop the left foot to meet the right. Fold over your legs. Little bend in the knee, big bend in the knees. Just kind of releasing for a moment here. Maybe a breath out of the mouth. Bend both knees. Lift your chest, hands to the top of the left thigh or to your prop. Either way is fine. Grounding through the left foot. Lighten your right foot as you gently drag it back behind you. Toes can stay on the ground or lift them. Either way is fine. And left knee can stay bent the whole time if that feels more comfortable for you, or feel free to straighten the left leg a little bit. Lift your chest away from you. If possible, turn your right toes down towards the ground. And then follow your toes back, just taking your time here to step back into your lunge, plant the hands, 3-point dog. Left leg reaches up, press into both hands equally, and then just step the foot through, kind of using that momentum to shift forward, warrior three. Maybe the hands float back behind you. Finding this lightness here, steady breath. Root down through the left foot, even firmer. Maybe bend your left knee a little as you step your right foot down to meet it. Forward fold. Hang out for a moment. Feel free to sway side to side. Maybe let a breath out of your mouth. Little bend in the knees. Rise all the way up. Take your time here. Arms stretch up, reach up, and look up. And then just dive over the legs, forward fold. Bend your knees a lot. Lift your chest. Chair pose. Just take a couple breaths here in your chair. Just kind of using this chair pose today as a real grounding action. So just planting the heels down firmly. Draw your hips back even further, kind of making some more space in your hip creases. Scoop the belly, and then stretch the arms up. Lift your chest a little bit. Take one more inhale. As you exhale, straighten the legs about 90%. Bring your hands down to your sides. And then inhale right back into your chair pose. Knees bend, arms stretch up, and exhale to stand up. We'll do this 2 more times. Steady breath. Inhale back to chair. Exhale to stand. Last one. Set the hips back. Lift your chest. And exhale. Just stand up. Good. Step into a wide stance here. Just widening out your legs. You can turn your toes towards the long side of your mat. If you have a mat with you, stretch your arms out into a T. And just take a couple breaths here. This real wide, strong position here, broadening across your chest, reaching down into the feet. From here, turn your right toes forward, angle your left toes in, and maybe hop the left foot just towards that long side in front of you, just to widen your stance. Triangle pose. We'll reach up and over the right knee. Draw the left hip back, and then just start to settle in here. You can bring your right hand to touch the right leg, Maybe grab a prop that you have nearby to bring under your hand, make some more space, and then just peel open. You can bring your gaze up towards your left fingertips, or maybe just look forward to keep some length in the sides of your neck. Either way is fine. Just pressing down into your feet. Take an inhale, peel the chest open. One more exhale down. And then imagine someone has a hold of your hand in the air, stretching you, pulling you up and out of the pose. Use the sides of your body to rise back up. Take a full breath in. Turn your right toes forward. Maybe bring your prop over to the left side of your mat as you turn your left toes to the left, right toes angle in, and just adjust your legs so you feel spacious in the hips, arms out into a T, just lengthening here. And then draw the right hip back, reach up and over the left knee, triangle pose. Just taking your time here, right arm reaches up, peel the chest open. And breathe. We're grounding down through the feet. See if you can keep that space through both sides of the body. Imagining someone's holding onto your hand, gently pulling you up and out of the pose. Nice and slow here, rising back up. Turn your toes forward, arms out. Even out your legs here. Take a big breath in. And then just fold forward. Fold over your wide legs here. Take a few breaths in your fold. And again, if you don't want to fold that much here, just bring your hands onto your thighs and lean over as much as feels okay for you. If the backs of your legs are really tight, or your back is really tight, sometimes just bringing the hands on the thighs here can be more comfortable than folding super far down. Let's take a few more breaths. Feel free to move a little, sway side to side, shift your weight from foot to foot. Just lift halfway, bringing your hands onto your hips. Rise all the way to stand. Just slow rise all the way up. Take a big breath in. A full breath out. Just starting to slide your hands down your legs. And then bring your forearms onto your thighs. So you can start to turn your toes out a little bit here. We'll come into a malasana squat. So you can just kind of shift your weight side to side here. It's kind of diving and digging into the hips a little deeper. And the goal here will be to keep your feet flat on the ground and to drop your hips down. So we're kind of slowly lowering the hips down and down. If your heels start to come up off of the mat, just pause there. Pause there, breathe for a couple moments. Just feeling that stretch in your hips. If you want, come even lower. Maybe bring your hands on the ground. Just a few more moments here. Feel free to drop the chin in towards the chest. Maybe rock your head side to side. And slowly rise back up. Bring your forearms or your hands onto your thighs. Rise up. We'll all bring the hands onto the thighs. And then just get settled in here so you can drop the hips down, straighten the arms, let your shoulders kind of shrug up towards your ears here. So we're lengthening the sides of the body. Take a big breath in, and then drop the right shoulder down towards the middle as you look over the left. A little twist in the spine here. Breathe up into the rib cage. And exhale through the center. Left shoulder down the middle. Look over the right. Take a few breaths. As you exhale, come back through the middle and then just stand all the way up. Step to the top of your mat. Root your feet down and stretch your arms out. Take a big breath in. Exhale, fold forward over the legs. Head is heavy. Inhale, lift and lengthen halfway. Exhale to step back to your plank pose. Take a full breath in and then lower to the belly. Gentle release onto the belly here. Come down, cobra pose on an inhale, just lifting, lengthening, peeling up. Exhale to slowly come down and gently make your way back to downward facing dog or child's pose. Either one is fine. We will come into a wide stance at the back of the mat, so you can start to walk your feet wide. If you're in child's pose, just gently start to come up into this shape. Wide legs, walk your hands back. Hands can come onto the thighs as you rise all the way up, and just heel toe your feet in towards one another. We'll come into a balancing shape here. So we'll start by bringing the right knee in towards the chest. And you can either stand with hands on your hips or hug the knee in with both hands clasped over your knee. Either way is fine. Just lifting the chest, breathing here. You may find a point of focus out in front of you, something that's not moving, the ground or wall in front of you. You might choose to just stay right here. This is a great place to be, just breathing, balancing. If you'd like to move on, you can bring your hand to your left hand to your hip, right hand to your knee. So this is another option, just breathing here. If you want, you can bring your peace sign fingers onto your right big toe and just see how that feels to get a little different grip. And then you might start to straighten your leg a little bit or a lot. And notice what happens with your shoulder here. If you straighten your leg and your right shoulder draws forward here, see if you can pull it back. That might mean rebending your knee a little bit, and that's totally fine. So wherever you are, we will bring the leg out to the right just a little bit, knee or toe, whatever you have a hold of. Take one more big breath in, and then just come back through the center. Slowly releasing, just let go of your knee or toe, step the foot back down. We'll just move to the other side. So planting your right foot when you're ready, draw the knee, left knee in. Just take a couple breaths. So again, everything is optional. So anywhere, any place that you get to that you're like, oh yeah, this is where I want to be, just hang out there. That's totally fine. The side might be different too. So lifting the chest, you can take your left hand to your knee, right hand to your hip, breathing slowly here. Again, peace sign fingers to your big toe, maybe it's kind of clasping on there. Maybe start to straighten the leg a little bit or a lot, just depending on how your mobility in your leg feels today. Shoulder draws back in line with the right, and then we'll draw the knee or the foot out to the side just for a couple breaths here. Find your midline, the center point in the body here. Just taking one more inhale, and just slowly come back through the center. Gently release the leg. Take your time to plant the foot, and then just stretch your arms up, plant both feet down, and just take a couple breaths here in this lifted position again at the back of your mat. Little bend in the knees, lift in your chest. See if you can soften the shoulder blades down your back. One more inhale. Exhale, just fold forward. Hinge at the hips. Crawl your way forward into your plank pose. Just pausing for an inhale. Drop the knees wide, child's pose. Take a couple breaths here in child's pose. Feel free to take a little bit of movement, shifting side to side. If bringing the forehead onto the ground feels like it's really far away, you can come onto your forearms and just hang out here, like a forearm tabletop position. Wherever you're coming from, slowly shift into tabletop. Hands are planted, knees draw under the hips more or less. And then just start to drop your belly, look up a couple rounds of cat and cow here. Exhale, round the spine. Inhale, drop the belly, look up, arch the back. And for the next 5 to 8 breaths, just explore a little bit of movement from this position. So you can continue with cat and cow if that feels good to you. You may choose to take some big circles with your hips, kind of opening the sides of your body and the hips a little bit more. Moving in a way that feels good to you or feels interesting to you. Exploring with this curious mind, this sense of grounding. We have the hands rooted, the knees, the tops of the feet grounded. Whenever you're ready, we'll just meet back in that neutral tabletop position. Evening out here, weight in the hands, weight in the knees, and then just thread the right arm under your left, just coming down onto the shoulder. You might not even lower all the way down. You can just pause here, kind of hovering, just getting that stretch in the front of the arm and a twist in the spine. If it feels all right for you, you can come all the way down onto the shoulder, onto your right ear. Take a few big breaths here. Just imagining your breath traveling through the back of your body. So if I were, or if someone were looking at your back close enough, you could see a rise on your inhale and a lowering on your exhale. Gently start to press yourself up, moving to the other side. When you're ready, left arm threads under the right, slowly moving into this shape. Take a couple breaths. Again, hovering here is totally fine. If the ground seems really far away as you drop in, just pause here. Breathe. Gently come back up through the center. Take your time. We'll just swing the legs out in front, just coming into a seated position. And just extend both legs so the heels are on the ground, the toes are pointing up. Bring your hands or fingertips back behind you. Just kind of press into the ground here as you lift your chest up. Extending through the heels. You can imagine the inner thighs rolling in towards one another. And then gently just fold forward, just releasing over the legs here. Let your breath slow down. Notice where you feel the sensation of this pose the most. The low back, the backs of the legs. Gently crawl the hands back, lift the chest, bring the soles of the feet onto the ground, scooch to the center of your mat, and just slowly make your way down onto your back. If you have something to elevate your back on, we'll do one more bridge pose with the option of doing a supported bridge by bringing something under the sacrum. So if you have that, you can just bring that nearby you as you make your way on down. Let's bring the knees in towards the chest. It's kind of rocking side to side. You can give the low back, the upper glutes a little massage by rolling out the knees here. And just meet back in the middle. Bring the soles of the feet onto the ground. Cross your right ankle over the left knee. We'll do a supine pigeon pose here for a few breaths. Either pressing into your right hip crease with the heel of your palm, pressing the knee away from you, or you can interlace the hands behind your left knee, hug in. If possible, imagine your low back, the back of the pelvis, evenly grounded, kind of softening that space down. Take one more inhale and gently unravel. Switching sides, right foot plants, left ankle over the right knee. Again, pressing into the hip crease here or interlacing behind your right leg. Take a few breaths. Let your mind start to slow down. Notice if there's thought clouds popping up. If so, see if you can come back to that grounding affirmation from the beginning of practice. Something to anchor you back to the present. Slowly unravel, bring the soles of the feet back down. We'll come into that supported bridge pose, or if you don't have a prop, feel free to just come into bridge pose, just lifting the pelvis up. If you have something to slide under your low back, just bring that under there, rest your pelvis down. Take a little bit of time here. If you are lifted without the support, just take about 3 to 5 breaths lifted and then drop back down. Take a moment to rest and then lift back up for about 3 cycles. You can also just rest on your back and breathe. Seeing if you can slow down your exhales. You might even start to count your breath, inhaling for about 3 counts in. Exhale for 4 or 5 counts out. In the next few breaths, gently press into your feet, lift the hips, and slide whatever prop is underneath you out. Just roll on down onto your back. Walk your feet out wide, and then just drop your knees over to the right. Feet are wide, knees drop over to the right. And when you get there, the outer edge of your right leg will be flat on the ground or maybe close to being flat on the ground. Your left knee will probably be hovering. See if you can press the inner edge of your left big toe, your inner left heel. Press that into the ground to lift the left hip off of the ground and kind of engage your left glute here. And then lengthen the left knee down towards the bottom of your mat. Stretch your left arm alongside your ear. Shuffle the left shoulder blade back down the back. And so this is kind of a more active twist, lengthening through the left side of the body. You can bring your right hand onto your belly and breathe into the hand here. Taking one more inhale. Just exhale back through the center. And we'll do the other side. So knees drop over to the left. The inner edge of your right foot is on the ground. Just switch the hands out and just press into that inner edge of the right foot as you draw the right knee down. Feel the glute engage to release the front hip crease, the thigh, just lengthening here. Seeing if you can soften the right shoulder blade back down without losing any of that length. One more inhale and exhale. Slowly release. Just come back through the center. You can keep the feet wide, drop the knees together, just resting in this knee together position. Hands can rest on your belly. If you prefer, you can move in an opposite direction with the hips, feet together, and knees wide. Supta Baddha Konasana. In the next few moments, we'll prepare for Shavasana. This might be where you want to stay and rest for the last few moments here in practice, or feel free to extend the legs, move into any shape that feels restful to you. That might even mean sitting in a chair, rolling onto your side, child's pose. As you rest here, notice these moments of awareness that pop up. Moments when you notice your mind is wandering. In those moments, you may come back to that affirmation. You may just slow down your breath. Know that this process can be repeated again and again. This continual arrival back to the present moment. Let the softening of your physical body bring you back into this moment. Softening anywhere that feels a little tight, tense, just releasing slowly. Let the next movements you take be mindful and curious, just moving your body through the space around you. Noticing how it feels to move after rest. And slowly roll onto one side, just taking your time to roll on over. You can bring the knees closer towards your chest. Use your arm as a little pillow. Use your hands to gently press yourself up into a seated position. You might keep that same idea of widening the base of your seated pose as you settle in here. Sit up tall, bring the palms together at the heart center. And we'll just seal practice today with the sound of Om. If you'd like to join in, that's fine, or you can just listen. We'll start with a long breath in. The light within me honors the light within all of you. Namaste. And thank you very much for sharing your practice today. Let me know if you have any questions about anything that we did today. You can stay on here and ask, or